Hi, this is Cindy Presgraves. I'm with Cindy's Realty Group, and I have here
Travis Lang with Guaranteed Rate, your VA home loan expert.
okay. And here we're going to be asking, because I have a lot of people approaching me, military personnel asking me, what is the first step in getting a VA home loan? So Travis, tell me a little bit more about that, and I'll ask you a lot of questions there.
Yeah, so always the first step is to find out and get your certificate of eligibility. All right, so it's a one-page document that shows if you are eligible for a VA home loan based on how long and your service, right? So depending on what branch of the military you're in and how long you've been in will determine if you're qualified or not. And this form, your lender that you choose to pick can get it for you as long as you have a DD-214 or a NGB-22 in your points letter. So if you're still in the military and you haven't ever been discharged for anything, you won't have a DD-214 yet. But if you have, let's say, been deployed or you've had a discharge before, you'll have this DD-214 letter that you'll need to give to your lender, and then we'll order your certificate of eligibility for you. Now, I have had a lot of members in the past get their certificate of eligibility for us and have it ready to go by reaching out to the military themselves and calling the VA and getting it so that they were already proactively prepared, which is really cool. So you could do that too. So that's where your VA home loan process will start first.
Okay, so now I have a question. Okay, so there's different scenarios. I had been a military dependent for a few years, let's put it that way. And okay, so now they have the certificate of eligibility, but I don't have credit. I have a job, but I don't have credit. Does that matter?
It does, absolutely. So right after we get this certificate of eligibility, you'll be doing a pre-approval with the lender of your choice. And during this pre-approval, the lender is going to need to check your credit, check your income, and do a full what's called a 1003 application with you. So they'll be asking you questions like, what's your work history for the last 2 years, your living history for the last 2 years, how much money do you have in checking and savings, and then going through what's called your debt to income ratio. So to answer your question, back to your question again, Cindy, with credit, the VA, Department of Veteran Affairs, doesn't have a minimum credit score requirement, but all investors that buy the VA home loans do. So it's kind of confusing, but I'm going to try to hone it in for everybody. So when somebody says, what does my credit score need to be? Most lenders in the US right now, when it comes to a VA home loan, are going to require at least a 600. So a 600. So let's say you have no credit score at all. You've never had a credit card, you've never had a loan, and you have no credit built yet. You're going to need to go build some credit first, okay? And I always recommend to try and start with what's called a secured credit card, okay? There's many options that you can look online. So a couple websites out there that you could Google to get yourself what's called a secured credit card. Also, if you have a really trusting family member, okay, that has a couple credit cards that use them appropriately and don't hold big balances on them, they can add you as what's called an authorized user to their credit card. And then within a few months, they'll build your credit basically for you, which is really cool. So you want to always have a few credit cards in your name at all times. And you do need to have a credit score. So talk to your lender about what they require. But most, like I said, lenders in the US, the investors that are going to buy the VA home loan and service it each month, they're going to want to see at least a 600, 90% of the time, okay? So that's the key marker for you there. And then the second one, Cindy, is yes, you do need income. You do need monthly income. So whether you're employed by the military in one of the branches, whether it's National Guard or the Army or Air Force, or you have both. Maybe you're in the Guard and you have a full-time job, right? You do need income. And then your lender's going to look at what you make per month versus what you owe per month in loans and credit cards. And then the new mortgage loan that you're trying to qualify for, they're going to take what you make versus what your payments are going to be, divide them out, and you always want to stay at about 50% or less. So this is part of the pre-approval process that your lender is going to go through with you to see what you qualify for. And then more importantly, this is what I say, Cindy, what you're comfortable with spending. So a lender might be able to qualify you up to 300,000, but maybe you should only be spending around 200 because that's what fits your budget, because you don't want to make yourself house poor, right?
Okay, so I have another question for you. I remember when we purchased our first VA home at that time, they required us to present our degrees. Like I had to present my bachelor's degree. My ex-husband had to present his bachelor's degree certificate, and other things besides the certificate of eligibility. And that actually happened in Minot, North Dakota.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lender really shouldn't be asking for copies of college degrees. The only reason why sometimes a lender might look for degrees of some sort is to prove that you've had work history. So let's say you haven't had any jobs before, right? And to prove your 2-year history, sometimes a lender will grab college transcripts, and or let's say your profession that you're in requires a type of schooling to get the job. The lender might want to see that you pass that type of degree to get that job. So usually that's kind of lender per lender, and maybe some lenders are more picky than others. So this is the power of finding a VA lender and also a VA realtor that knows their stuff, because we've heard, you and me, Cindy, we've heard a lot of crazy stuff, and a lot of it is not necessary, but going to the right place when it comes to the lending side that I can speak for, and then I'll let you speak on this, Cindy, on the realtor side, is whether it comes to a bank, a credit union, and a mortgage lender, all three of those, some will require more than less because of who they sell their loans to. So you want to find a lender that doesn't have overlays, because they're not going to put you through as much paperwork as, let's say, a lender that has more restrictions, because they just don't want to take as much risk. So they're going to ask for more than what VA even wants. And that's going to put a lot more pain and a lot more paperwork on you. And you shouldn't really have to go through with that. So you want to find a lender that knows their VA guidelines, knows their stuff. And then how about you, Cindy? You can chime in.
I have so many stories. It's basically, let me see. Like, for instance, I moved into a non-military community. And for me, the transition was a little bit difficult because, you know, being a military community, hey, you get military discount, and then everybody's like military friendly. They understand, they know what you're going through, especially if they're deployed, if they're stationed somewhere else, if you have a 1-year assignment, unaccompanied, you know what, they do understand. But when you're in a totally different situation, and not in a non-military community, that happens is they don't understand. They think it's just a part of another loan. And for instance, I mean, even in my area, it's like you look at VA and they're like, they put an offer in as a VA loan. If it's not new construction and it's a little bit older of a house, hey, they will reject that VA loan and they'll go with an FHA or a conventional. So, or USDA. So it's something that you also have to take very much into consideration in knowing who you're actually looking as a realtor. Because if you look at these, for instance, where I used to live before, I don't want to mention the names of these persons. I actually went through the USA rewards. I wasn't a realtor then, and I got 2 agents for 2 different times, 2 different purchases. The first one, oh yeah, you know what, she has a lot of experience now. She's probably 15 years in the industry, and we lived in Burlington, North Dakota, and we
Mm-hmm.
bought a house there. It was like down the lake or river or whatever that thing is called, the creek. And she said, hey, you know what, you're not going to be in the 500, you're not in the 500 flood plan. Wait, you're in the 500 floodplain, nothing's going to happen. 3 years later, the minus flood happened, and we ended up with a lot of debt.
Mm-hmm.
um, so now going back to the VA, you know, it's basically, it's, you need to find who you feel more comfortable and knows what you're talking about. You want someone that is going to actually talk your language, not someone that is going to be, you know, just because of rewards. Because even though you're going to get money back, that doesn't mean that makes them a good realtor. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, on my second purchase, we actually went ahead and, hey, you know what, we're getting $1,000 back. Hey, awesome. Um, she did not know what she was dealing with. She didn't know what she was going to. I was most likely the one that was doing the negotiations, the asking. I was actually talking to the builder himself. And I still have a really good relationship with that builder. And it's up in North Dakota. So after that, I decided to get my license. So it's really, really important to see who you talk to, who you find out. Hey, right now I have my neighbors. Hey, they've been, he's retired. He's been retired from the military. I think probably he retired from the military probably like 25 or 30 years ago. And, but he did not know that he can actually have two VA loans. And I hooked them up with Travis. Yes, Travis is in North Dakota. And why I'm going to North Dakota to just work with Travis is because I know that there's a military community. My brother's married to military too. He's worked with my brother personally. He's dealt with so many of his properties, and he knows what he's talking about, because it's been hard for me to find an actual lender down here that knows what the in and outs are of the VA. Okay. Another situation, so I'm a listing agent for a property down here in Georgia. And I have a client that, not even a client, a buyer. I spoke with a lender, not a lender. He's an agent actually. They're looking at $600,000 house. Their interest rate is a 3.25 interest rate. And I'm like, why are you even doing this to your client? And look, I probably was overstepping there. He's like, well, I had been in the mortgage industry for 17 years. I'm like, okay, you could have been in the mortgage industry for 17 years, but do you understand the VA? He did not answer that. He's like, I just want to get them into a house. That's it. And I'm like, but you're
Mm.
saving them a lot of money. Look, I just refinanced a house a few months ago for a 2.225. My payments went from 1,800 down to $1,063 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference. In having
Does.
realtors or agents that do not understand, that could impact you economically. That can make you spend a lot of money that you don't even know about. So this is really, really important. And this is one of the reasons that we're creating this series of videos, so you guys can be educated and learn and understand about the whole VA home loan processes and the options
Mm-hmm.
you guys are offering, or the options
Absolutely.
that are there for you there.
Right, exactly. Bottom line is we care. And that's why we're doing these videos. And we just don't want to see you get hurt in the process. We want you to get the right information and do the right things for you and your family.
And not only that, but at the same time, save as much money as possible and get more bang for your buck. So this is all about that, because I understand the sacrifice that the military's families go through, you know, and it's a whole process. I mean, PCSing time, it's pain in the butt. Dealing with kids, pain in the butt. No, just moving on overall. So there's a lot of things that you actually need to think about and just reconsider. I mean, do I really want to work with a friend, with my realtor friend? But do they know what they're actually talking about? Or do you really want to work with an expert that knows the ins and outs and is actually going to put you into contact in the right hands? It's like,
Absolutely.
I actually, like, I'm going back to my neighbor. Look, they had been working with probably 5 to 8 different agents. And they told me,
Wow.
look, you are the best. You've gone above and beyond for us. And I told them, look, hey, you know what? Wait, I might not be selling their house, but you know what? I want what the best option is for them. Hey, regardless of
Yep.
the situation, if they rent their house, if they think that's the best option, or they can actually refinance both houses and refinance this house and buy another one. Hey, I want what's best for them, because you know what? In the long run, that's going to be an investment for them, and they're going to be able to make money out of it. And don't even get me started on taxes, though. But that's it's something that I'm actually looking for the client, or you guys as well. So is there
Yeah.
anything else that you need to say besides that, so we can?
No, no, that was awesome, Cindy. That was really great. And just reach out to us, guys, if you have any questions, little or big, and be glad to answer any questions you guys have.
And please do, email. I have a special email for you guys too. It's military@Cindy's Realty Group. Please feel free to visit my website if you guys have any inquiries, any questions. I can definitely, like I said, I have nationwide access to all properties, and I can actually look at what your interest rate is, your mortgage, how many loans have you taken your property on, or how many times you've refinanced. I know it sounds a little bit stalkerish, but as a realtor, I actually have access to all that information.
Yeah,
But
see?
but I look forward to working with you guys and looking at your comments, and have a wonderful day.
See you guys.